"Excuse me, is this your car?" His voice was cold, laced with an unmistakable sneer. The officer's gaze scanned her face briefly before settling on the luxury car parked nearby. His hand casually rested on the gun holster, as if preparing to face an enemy. "Yes," she replied, her voice firm and unwavering. But her confidence only seemed to irritate him further. She wasn't the type to be easily intimidated. "Really?" He scoffed, his expression smug. "You don't look like someone who could afford a car like that." His tone was mocking, as though her skin color and appearance defined the limits of her existence. She felt a wave of frustration rising in her chest, but she didn't let it show. "I'm more certain than ever," she answered, stepping closer to the car, her eyes challenging him. "What else do you want?" The officer's smile grew colder. "Let me see your papers," he ordered, his voice loud enough to attract the attention of everyone nearby. "Or do you think you don't have to follow the law?" She didn't rush. Calmly, she reached for her wallet, though her anger simmered beneath the surface. Before she could present her documents, he stepped forward and blocked her path. "Give me all your papers," he shouted, his hand firmly resting on his gun, eyes piercing. "Don't do anything stupid." "Stupid? Is it me or you who's being stupid?" She raised her chin, her voice sharp as a blade. The officer's face turned red, his anger flaring, his body trembling with rage. "Watch your tone." By now, a crowd had gathered, their curious eyes fixed on the confrontation, but no one dared to speak out. Instead, they pulled out their phones to record videos and take photos. Only one woman at the back of the crowd whispered, "What's going on?" But no one answered. Everyone was watching the tense standoff. The officer saw the situation slipping out of his control. He moved toward her, intending to push her aside to end the encounter quickly. But what happened next surprised everyone, including him. She immediately dodged his push with sharp agility, as if she had trained for moments like this. Her voice rang out, clear and unshaken. "Move." The officer's eyes widened. He froze for a second, confused about what was happening. He had assumed she was just an easy target to manipulate. But now, he realized she was someone he couldn't underestimate. "You don't know who you're dealing with," she said, her voice as hard as steel. "But you'll find out soon enough." And that day, in the parking lot, the officer's life changed forever. It proved one thing: justice, though slow, will always find its way. And this time it came with undeniable force. 1 hour before that intense confrontation, Jade Hamilton, 39, a distinguished female police captain, was driving her luxury sports car down a quiet road. She was not the type of woman to be soft or easily subdued. From a young age, Jade stood out for her strong, decisive, and resilient personality. She wasn't just passionate about speed, she had a fierce love for conquering challenges that few dared face. Her childhood memories were filled with racing against her neighborhood friends, never letting anyone overtake her, always pushing the limits others set. From the first steps in her life, she understood that strength didn't just come from physical power, but from an unyielding spirit, always ready to confront any challenge. She remembered the early days of joining the police force when many doubted her abilities as a woman in a male-dominated environment. But Jade proved that limits were only things people imposed on themselves. She always set high standards for herself and never backed down from any challenge. For Jade, every challenge was an opportunity to prove her worth and to assert that women could rise strong in fields others believed they didn't belong in. The sports car she was driving was not just a luxury item, but a symbol of freedom. Every time she glided down the empty streets, feeling the wind through her hair, the steering wheel in her hands, she could sense the absolute freedom that she had worked so hard over the years to achieve. It didn't just make long drives easier, it was proof of the life she had built strong, free, and full of pride. It was the result of countless late nights, long days at work, and unwavering dedication to achieving the things she desired. This sports car was not just a means of transportation, it was proof of the journey of a woman who refused to be defeated by any challenge life threw her way. For Jade, the car was a part of her, a symbol of the effort and perseverance she had shown over the years, fighting not just in her career but in life. She had conquered every adversity, and this car was the well-deserved reward for her tireless efforts. She was born and raised in a poor neighborhood in Ketchikan, Alaska, where her community's life was a constant struggle with hardships, scarcity, and never-ending challenges. Ketchikan, with its narrow streets and old houses, where every day was a battle against harsh living conditions, taught Jade the value of resilience and the power of never giving up. Despite the difficult environment, Jade learned that it was in the toughest moments that one could find the strength hidden within. Her mother, a dedicated teacher, not only taught her to read but also taught her the power of knowledge and patience. She always encouraged Jade to seek knowledge not only from books but from life itself, always questioning and exploring everything around her. Her mother showed her that, while life may not always be fair, knowledge would be the key to opening opportunities and changing her life. The hours of study outside the classroom, the lessons of patience and hard work from her mother, shaped Jade's strong mindset, always setting goals and never giving up no matter the challenges. Her father, a skilled mechanic with a knack for storytelling, instilled in Jade a belief in her ability to overcome any challenge and stand up for what was right. From the stories he told about tough battles in work and life, Jade learned the lesson of courage, standing firm in the face of adversity and not letting injustice push her down. Her father always taught her that, although the world could sometimes be harsh, with the power of truth and perseverance, anything could be overcome. Thanks to guidance from her parents, Jade nurtured a strong determination to always seek out opportunities to rise above, not only overcoming adversity but also setting an example for others. Becoming a police captain was never an easy journey for Jade. As a woman of color in a profession primarily dominated by men, she faced not only professional challenges but also skepticism, disdain, and heavy prejudice from her colleagues and superiors. She constantly felt the scrutinizing eyes, the whispers behind her back, and the questions about her abilities. However, instead of stepping back, Jade chose to confront and overcome those challenges. She didn't need to prove herself with words or compromises. Instead, she chose action, opting to work hard and professionally and not let the discrimination diminish her worth. Jade stood out not just for her skill but also for her calmness and sharp intuition. Even in tense situations, she always maintained her composure and handled things rationally. Her deep passion for justice and fairness became the driving force that helped her stand strong through every challenge. She understood that justice wasn't just executed through cases, but through how we treat each other in every situation. Every time she faced criticism or disdain, Jade became stronger and more confident, proving that her resilience and talent were undeniable. To her, nothing was impossible, and she rose not only to defend what was right, but also to assert her place in a world that wasn't always fair. That afternoon, Jade decided not to go on duty and instead stopped by a small shop beside the busy street. She wanted to take some time to relax and find a meaningful birthday gift for her only close friend, Tara. This was the artisan shop Tara often visited when looking for unique and thoughtful items. The products here always made Jade feel at peace, as each gift carried meticulous craftsmanship, love, and the stories behind them. For Jade, buying a gift for a friend wasn't just a simple act, it was a way for her to show affection and appreciation for the close friends who had been by her side through the years. The shop wasn't large, but it was filled with handcrafted items like ceramics, paintings, and bracelets, and necklaces made from natural gemstones. Each item had a simple beauty but a unique charm, making anyone stop to admire them. Jade walked past each shelf, sensing that these items were not just decorations but real works of art. She stopped in front of a bracelet made from wood and gemstones, her eyes lighting up as she imagined how Tara would love it. This gift was not only beautiful, but also carried a message of connection and durability, something Jade thought perfectly represented their long-lasting friendship. At the same time, Officer Ryan Thompson, one of Jade's former colleagues, sat in his patrol car with a visibly frustrated expression on his face. In his worn-out police uniform, the fabric stretched tightly over his belly, a result of hurried meals and a sedentary lifestyle. While Ryan's record wasn't that of a bad officer, His attitude outside of work left many shaking their heads. He was capable of getting the job done but lacked dedication and teamwork. Every time he was on duty, Ryan carried an indifferent attitude, showing little care for others and sometimes coming across as arrogant. His colleagues frequently complained about his behavior, and Jade, although not one to gossip, couldn't help but notice the issues in Ryan's conduct. Sitting in his car, Ryan looked out the window, his gaze filled with frustration, perhaps due to the monotony of his work or some personal dissatisfaction. He wondered if he was on the wrong path but quickly dismissed the thought. Meanwhile, Jade was selecting meaningful gifts. Each step she took in the store was a testament to her dedication and love for her job. However, the stark difference in their approaches to life and work only highlighted the disparities in their attitudes towards both. When Ryan saw Tara step out of the store and head toward her car, something inside him felt uneasy. It might have been the luxury car, her confident demeanor, or just the simmering anger within him searching for an outlet. He drove his patrol car into the lot and stepped out, walking toward her with an air of authority, adjusting his belt as if to assert his position. Tara immediately sensed the tension in the air as Ryan approached her car. With a look of suspicion, he stopped in front of her, ordering her to allow him to search her vehicle without any reasonable cause. His gaze, as if she were a criminal trying to hide a dark secret, ignited a fire of anger in Tara. She was a young black woman, and in Ryan's eyes, her presence in this expensive sports car couldn't possibly make sense. He not only suspected her of being a thief but assumed she couldn't afford such a vehicle through honest means. The feeling was crushing. His look seemed to say that she didn't belong there, that she didn't deserve what she had. Tara's anger could no longer be contained, and she stepped out of the car with determination, her eyes locked on Ryan. She could feel the contempt in his gaze, as if a woman like her could never deserve to own such a car without some ulterior motive. He didn't need a reason, simply her existence in this society bothered him because to people like Ryan, someone like Tara couldn't escape the label of suspicious. As for Ryan, he too felt the challenge in Tara's unwavering gaze, but he couldn't see that it was his own doubt and prejudice that was making this confrontation so tense. Tara's anger boiled over. She spoke firmly. "You think I don't deserve this? You think I'm a criminal just because I'm a black woman and own this car? Do you have any idea what I've sacrificed to be here today? It's not because I'm lucky, it's because I never give up." Ryan stood still, staring at Tara, his hatred and disdain for her growing with each passing moment. He couldn't fathom why a black woman like her could have a car like this, a possession he believed was only meant for people like him, white, living in a society where he always felt superior. When did he start hating black people? He didn't remember, only that every time he saw a black person with something flashy, he immediately thought they had stolen it, swindled it, or got it through luck. Ryan couldn't contain his hatred any longer, and he spat out harsh words, even resorting to racist slurs, accusing Tara of being undeserving of the luxury car. He saw her as a fraud, unable to accept that a black woman could achieve success. The crowd around them quickly gathered, witnessing his unfair treatment. They began to criticize Ryan, defend Tara, and condemn his actions. Under the pressure, Tara, with her strong and resilient character, refused to back down. She wasn't just fighting for herself, but for all the black people out there who had endured discrimination and injustice. Tara immediately pulled out her badge, opened it, and held it up in front of the crowd. "I am Captain Tara Lewis," she said, her voice sharp like a knife cutting through the air, silencing the noise around them. Internal affairs. Ryan's eyes widened, unable to speak, realizing he was facing a captain, and a sense of shame suddenly flooded over him. Tara didn't give him a chance to explain. She walked up to him, her gaze steely, and her voice full of authority. "You abused your power. You saw a black woman in this nice car and immediately assumed she didn't deserve to be here. That's not your job, that's racism." Each word she spoke was a punch, causing Ryan to step back, feeling the sting of defeat and humiliation take over all his emotions. The crowd around her erupted in cheers, cheering for Tara. She stood firm, her sharp gaze unwavering, showing no sign of fear. "He will pay for this," she said, her voice resolute, like a declaration of war. "Tomorrow, at the Department of Internal Affairs, I will make him face the consequences. And his badge, I wonder if it will still hold up." Her words struck Ryan like powerful blows. Without looking back, she stepped into the sports car, speeding away with the roar of the engine, leaving him standing there, overwhelmed by humiliation and the insults from the crowd. The next day in the Internal Affairs office, the atmosphere was tense, as if about to explode. Ryan sat across from Tara, but everything had completely changed. The power dynamic between them was no longer that of adversaries as it had been yesterday. Now, she was the one in charge, while he was the one being harshly criticized. Besides the senior captains, Tara sat firmly, her gaze never leaving him. The entire room voiced their criticism of Ryan, their words like knives cutting through the silence. "What have you done?" one of the captains asked. "Abused your power, engaged in racial discrimination, and now you're damaging the reputation of the entire police department." Every word was like a powerful strike to him. Footage from cameras and videos capturing Ryan's actions had quickly spread on social media, and now everyone knew about this incident. Ryan sat there, his face pale, devoid of any confidence, silently enduring the continuous barrage of criticism. He realized that everything he had done had caused a disaster, not only for himself but also for the department he had devoted so many years to. "You've not only ruined yourself, but you've also tarnished the image of this police department," another captain said. "With your actions, you've lost the trust of the entire community." Finally, a decision was made. Captain Dylan Alexander looked directly at Ryan, his voice cold but calm. "Officer Ryan Thompson, instead of firing you, we've decided to transfer you to the 13th Precinct in Westfield. It's a community mainly made up of black residents, and you'll work there for 7 months. During this time, you'll be monitored for your attitude and professional conduct. You'll also join the internal oversight team, responsible for monitoring and preventing abuse of power and corruption within the police force." Ryan flinched, looking up. "Westfield? But that's 4 hours away," he reacted. "This is not up for negotiation, Ryan," another captain said, his tone unyielding. "This is the only decision. You'll work there or we'll revoke your badge. The choice is yours, Ryan." Ryan sat in silence with nothing left to say. He was left with nothing but humiliation and the understanding that every decision has its cost. And so Ryan had no choice but to pack his things and prepare for the 7 months in Westfield. For him, those 7 months would be an unforgettable challenge. At first, he felt like an outcast, alienated by the very community he was supposed to serve. They could not forget his past, an officer who had abused power and engaged in racial discrimination. The cold stares, the whispers behind his back, and even the hostility in every word made him feel like a stranger, unable to integrate into this new society. Every day in Westfield, he felt himself being pushed into a corner, into a world he had never understood. Yet before long, in that stifling atmosphere, he realized that this was his only opportunity to change, to rectify the mistakes of his past. He began to open up, listen, and understand the pain the black community had to endure, suffering he had never experienced before. He never imagined that a community so oppressed and treated unfairly could be so strong and united. Gradually, he learned to respect and appreciate the people he had once considered different. Throughout this time, he also did not forget his task of internal oversight. Initially, this was a job he took on reluctantly, seeing it merely as a responsibility to fulfill. But as he began to monitor and investigate certain officers within the force, he uncovered a dark truth. Officers he had once considered colleagues were now involved in corruption, accepting bribes, and abusing their power within the very police force they served. The covert investigations were not easy. Ryan had to conceal himself, work in silence, and stay undercover because once discovered, not only would he lose his job, but his second chance would be gone too. Yet with each passing day, he gradually pulled back the dark curtain of corruption in the police force. Secret exchanges and illegal dealings between some officers and drug dealers all began to surface. The investigative process was far from simple. Ryan faced suspicion, even life-threatening danger. Many times he almost got caught, but he never backed down. With every passing day, he felt himself getting closer to his goal, exposing the corruption and restoring his own reputation. Finally, when all the evidence had been collected, Ryan submitted a report to his superiors, and the corrupt officers were temporarily detained pending further investigation. This was the greatest achievement of his career, an accomplishment he never imagined he would one day achieve. It was not just a battle against corruption, but also a battle to restore his own honor, to prove that he had changed. After completing his mission, Ryan returned to his old unit with a mixed feeling of relief and heaviness. The first thing he did upon his return was to face Tara and apologize and thank her. He approached her with a heart full of regret and deep gratitude. Standing before Tara, he was no longer the arrogant, self-important police officer he once was, but a man who had understood his mistakes and learned the value of fairness and respect. "Tara, I'm truly sorry," he said, his voice softening. "I was wrong, and thanks to you, I've been able to change. Thank you for helping me realize my mistakes. I couldn't have turned my life around without your help." Tara looked at him, not speaking immediately. She didn't need more words, for she could see the sincerity in his eyes. She understood that Ryan had truly changed, and most importantly, he had learned a valuable lesson about fairness, about judging people not by the color of their skin, but by their character and actions. Through the story of Jade Hamilton, we learn an important lesson about the power of resilience, self-respect, and courage in confronting racism and societal prejudice. This story is not just a personal struggle of a Black woman, but also a strong reminder that we cannot and should not accept injustice in any form. Jade not only protected herself, but also demonstrated that when faced with discrimination, we should not endure or yield. Everyone has the right to be respected and deserves the results they have worked hard to achieve. This story carries a clear message: racism cannot and should not be accepted in modern society. So what can we do today? Let's start with ourselves. Let's recognize and fight against all forms of discrimination, whether in the workplace, in daily life, or in how we view others. Let's use our power to stand up, protect those who are hurt, and encourage fairness and justice in all decisions. If you were characters in this story, what would you do? Would you stand up and fight for justice like Jade, or would you stay silent? Think about what we can do right now to create a fair and respectful environment. Looking ahead, I believe that if each of us continues on this path, fighting for what is right, our society will become a better place. Imagine a society in 2030 where racism has been eradicated, and we live in an environment where every individual is judged by their abilities and character, not their skin color or circumstances. We will have a society where equality is truly the foundation of every decision and action. So, what will we have in 5 years in 2030? I hope we will see a powerful change, a society where actions like Jade's are no longer exceptions, but a part of daily life. Struggles for justice will become inspiring stories, motivating every individual in the community to stand up for a more just and equal future. I would love to hear your thoughts on this story. How do you feel watching Jade stand up against discrimination? Could her actions inspire small struggles in our lives? And if you were Jade, how would you act in that situation? To me, Jade is a model of resilience and courage, and her story reminds us that the power of truth and justice always prevails, no matter what challenges we face. This story also reminds me that each of us can be a change maker, and real strength comes from never giving up, even when faced with oppression or prejudice. Please share your thoughts and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss inspiring stories like this. This story is entirely fictional, created to raise awareness about important social issues. We want to emphasize personal and collective responsibility, the spirit of justice, and the importance of treating everyone with respect and dignity, regardless of their skin color, status, or life circumstances. We strongly oppose all forms of violence, discrimination, prejudice, and injustice in society. The events in this story may be emotionally impactful and educational, encouraging viewers to reflect on moral values, fairness, and compassion. Viewers should consider this before watching. If you feel the content could affect your personal emotions, please consider carefully before proceeding. We hope this story will contribute to fostering positive discussions and building a fairer, kinder society.